Welcome to the podcast review show. I'm your host, Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting.com. This is where we bring somebody on, we listen to their podcasts, find out what they're doing right, and then also find maybe just a few things maybe they might want to tweak. Joining me with how many years of experience, actually? I keep exaggerating, but is it 30?
30 years.
30 years of radio experience. You might know him as the podcast talent coach. Erik K. Johnson is here to help me. Erik, how's it going, buddy?
Very well, Dave. Thanks for having me along for the ride, and looking forward to diving into another podcast.
And tonight we have Laura Hoffman from Amidlife Traveler. You can find that at amidlifetraveler.com. So, Laura, thanks for hopping in the hot seat.
Thank you so much. I'm ready to roll with the punches.
And let's just get into why you started the podcast and why you picked this topic.
Well, I am going to give you a very non-traditional podcaster answer. I started it to see if I could. Now, little known fact is 3 years ago, I tried to start a marketing podcast, and I followed all the rules, and I did the John Lee Dumas stuff, and I was miserable. And I set the podcast aside and decided I'm not going to be a podcaster. And then I was on vacation, and I was having such a fantastic time with such an interesting tour guide. I asked him, do you mind if I record this conversation? Because I sometimes write travel blogs. And he said, sure, no problem. So I recorded the Scotsman talking about his native area. And on the way back on the airplane, I was listening to it, taking notes so I could write it out. And I thought, there is no way that I can tell the story like he does. The power of the human voice is so much more impactful. I can't translate this. And so on a whim, I decided just to put it out as a podcast.
Nice. Yeah, there's nothing better than an authentic accent.
That's a great way to stumble upon a podcast, though. What a fantastic inspiration to get it rolling.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to share. It wasn't for a business. It wasn't for making money. I just wanted to share that experience.
And who's the target audience for this podcast?
Well, because I did not do the traditional route of planning that out beforehand, the first audience was more friends and family and people my age. So people that are interested in travel but constantly ask me about places to go and things to do, but they don't necessarily go themselves, or they think it's hard. Like London sounds far away. Scotland sounds far away.
And so you're able to get them over the hump.
Yeah. So the first audience was friends and family. They said, oh my gosh, that guy's hilarious. I want to go be on one of his tours.
But who would you say is it targeted for?
Well, I think that you just nailed right in on one of my big things that I'm sure Erik is going to probably pull apart too. I'm at an identity crisis on this. So I started something as an experiment, as part of something that I love and enjoy and am passionate about. But I started as an experiment in audio, as an experiment in podcasting, and as an experiment in marketing. So by career, I'm a marketer, and I'm really intrigued by the potential for podcasting as a medium for brands and customer storytelling. So it's really been a big experiment. It hasn't been this targeted market audience out of the gate. I need to do that. If I want it to be bigger and better, I need to do that.
Got it. All right, well, let's hop on in. We're going to listen to the first 2 minutes of your show. So if you think about this, a brand new listener listens to this, we want this first 2 minutes to captivate them and pull them into the rest of the show.
Oh boy.
Yeah, my name is Erik from 20 York Street, and this was amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, my name is Ketty Wilhelm from kettywilhelm.com, and I'm going to be coming back to do this again.
My name is Mami from girlsurfworld.com, and it was awesome. I love it.
They say the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. Oh.
Welcome to the Amidlife Traveler podcast, where we want you to go see the world. Discover interesting stories about people, places, and practical advice to help you plan your next vacation.
Hey, let's go see the world.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today on the Amidlife Traveler as we are exploring Ireland through the voices, stories, and opinions of locals who live there and travelers who've been there. My name's Laura, and today we are going to go kayaking in Cork, Ireland. You are going to hear from some travelers who spent some time in Ireland, from travel bloggers from 20york.com, girlsurf.com, katiewilhelm.com, and Anne Klein Solo Travels. And we had all come together for a conference in Ireland called TBEX, the Travel Blogger Exchange. And as part of that, we had done at the very end of the conference a day tour together that ended in a kayak tour on the port of Cork. And this tour was just such a special close to our day and a really cool experience that most of us agreed afterwards that it was probably one of the highlights of our trip that day.
So that's the first 2 minutes.
Okay.
And Erik, I'll let you go first.
The thing I like about it is it kind of puts me in the sort of traveler mood. I like the intro music. I like the conversational nature of it. At the beginning with the folks that chime in that say who they are and where they're from in terms of their website, they basically say, I'm going to do this again, or something to that nature, which really had me a little confused. I wasn't really sure what we were talking about. But then once you got into today, we're exploring Ireland through the voices and opinions of people who live there and travelers who have been there. You really kind of set the stage nicely for a podcast. You're going to take me to Ireland and let me experience it. So I thought the setup was really nice. You told me exactly what I'm going to get in the show. We're going to hear people talk about kayaking in Cork, Ireland, and things like that, that it was a special close to the day. I thought the setup to the content was pretty strong. Just the drops at the beginning had me a little confused with regard. I would have liked to have heard them talk about something specific with regard to the trip to Ireland. I thought that would have given me a little more benefit at the beginning. But overall, I thought the foundation and the picture was painted nicely here at the beginning.
Yeah, that was I would basically echo what you did. I was to me, when they were saying I'm going to go back, I'm like, going to go back to what? And so I usually look for a teaser, for me at least, to go, ooh, that sounds interesting, or something like that. So I was kind of curious as to what were they talking about, but it was a different curiosity of, instead of, ooh, I can't wait to hear about that, it was, what the heck are they talking about? So it was a different kind of curiosity. And from there, like you said, you started to go in and you kind of set up your backstory, how you had thought Scotland was going to be one thing, and it went into a couple other things. In fact, you had a thing where you talked about the unexpected. So I got a quick clip of that.
Like their lives are interwoven with the story of Ireland and the story of adventure and the story of being out in nature experiences. And what they're doing with this business is they're inviting tourists and visitors to experience Ireland in a whole new way that might be a little unexpected from the norm.
And so for me, that was kind of an intriguing, like, you're talking about a business. It was like, okay, these guys are doing something outside of the box. And so that's what you promised up front. And so I was kind of like, okay, can't wait to hear what it is.
Yeah, I thought the intro to the show where you talk about the podcast is where we want you to go see the world, discover interesting stories about people, places, and practical advice to help you plan your next vacation. I thought that was a great overview of what the show is about. And then, as Dave said here, we dive into, we're going to bring you the unexpected, like a side of Ireland you haven't seen in the past. And that really piqued my interest and intrigued me. And that's what I was really hoping to get as we dove into the episode.
The one thing I like about it is you have that technique down of you're just talking to one person. I feel like you're across the table from me, and you're kind of like, wait till I tell you about Ireland. He said, hitting his microphone, wait till I tell you about Ireland. And there was you seem very relaxed as you're reading it, or not reading it, but you're just very relaxed. You don't sound like you're reading it, because you're not, and you're just very relaxed. You got a nice voice, and it just seemed very just like, let me kick back and tell you about this trip I had. It's really, really awesome. And that's definitely apparent in this little clip.
Like Jim and Maria from Atlantic Sea Kayaking are creating businesses to invite visitors and tourists like us to experience that side of Ireland, because it's just really, I don't know, authentic. I guess that's how I think about it, is authentic.
And so again, you're still kind of coming up exactly what you're trying to say. So I thought that was kind of cool that you didn't drag it out like, I'm not really sure. Is it this or that? But it was like, it again had this kind of conversational tone, like you're just talking to a single person. So
yeah, I love your voice. I can really hear the passion that you have for travel. And I love the fact that you aren't afraid to just stop and think for a second to find the right word and then start again. So many podcasters want to fill every single space and every single gap of silence with something. And you're not afraid to just stop and think for a second, which I really appreciate. And I thought it added a lot to your story.
Wow, thank you guys very much. I'm just sitting here wondering, okay, now when are they going to tear me down? Everything, I love everything I'm hearing.
Well, there's some things here. And what's the fun
You're going to hit me on music, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, at the end, of course.
Okay.
That's on here.
And what's fun is I labeled this clip and I have no idea what it means. I apparently had my fingers on the wrong thing, and I'm like, it just says thank you, okay. And I'm like, so we'll find out together.
But should we say thank you?
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of a mess, huh?
Okay, now who are we with? Now let's talk to
Okay, now I understand it. This reminded me of Wayne's World. Because it was like, all right, thing of the week. All right, whoa. Okay, now we're gonna do the thing, because that's exactly what you're like. All right, because I'm like, what are they doing? I couldn't even understand what you're saying. And it was just like, So
Can I take a sec to explain? I know you weren't there, but what they were doing is we were recording that actually for the owner of the company as a thank you. And so I decided to put it in a podcast. So because everybody had a great time. I said, do you guys want to say thank you to everyone and tell them? And so that was going at kind of a quick round robin. And I decided to put it in a podcast. But it was intended to share with the owner, and because it's a family business, and share with everyone.
Yeah. It just seemed, for me, it was a weird transition.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, and now we're going to do this. And I was like, well, that was kind of
I should have cropped that out.
A weird little thing.
And you don't necessarily need to crop it out, but if you set it up like you just did to us in the podcast, it puts some context around it and lets the audience kind of understand where we're going with that piece of audio.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised you didn't, because you started to fade it out, and then still, I don't know, to me, I was like, I would have just faded it completely out and said, and then exactly what Erik was saying. That was us saying thank you for the great trip, blah blah blah, and then you just transition into whatever the next clip is.
Huge confession. I don't know how to fade things out. I've experimented a couple times on settings, so I don't know how to actually do that.
What audio software are you using?
Adobe Audition.
Oh, well then that's super easy. Then if you click the very top of the WAV file, you'll see a volume line, and you'll add what's called an envelope. You add an envelope and then add a second envelope, and just pull that second envelope down to 0, and it'll fade out. You can adjust it to and fro
in a drag and drop way.
Yeah. So in the middle, like there's a line in the middle that's your pan. Have you ever clicked on that and it creates a little envelope?
I just do the basics. Which is why I fell in love with the Hindenburg demo. When I very first met Dave at a podcast conference, he introduced me to the Hindenburg people, and I saw their demo, and I saw how they were fading and dragging stuff, and I was like, that's beautiful. And then
it's very similar in Adobe Audition once you figure out how to use it.
Well, I've been taking copious notes here, so I'm gonna figure that out. I promise you.
I will see if I can get you a screenshot. I don't have it on this computer, but I'll see if I can get you a screenshot and send it to you and show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah, let me I'll share my screen because it only takes 2 seconds here.
Oh, do you have it on your computer?
Yeah, while you guys were talking, I was like,
that's
come
a
on.
repeat offending comment, right? I probably do that all throughout. I just kind of throw another piece of audio behind thinking, oh, that'll be fine. Oh, I'm watching. Okay.
So what I'm going to do here is first, these are grouped, so I don't want to do that. So let's say I want to fade. Let me get one of these out of here. You guys go away. So I'm just dealing with one. Oh, see, now I got rid of all of them. Stop that. I just want this one. So
Well,
see,
yeah.
And so here, it's a matter of remember playing Operation as a child?
Oh yeah.
Because you have to have your mouse right in the right spot for this to work.
It's much easier if you blow it up, so you're seeing a large portion of the WAV file.
So, because you can, that's stretching it. Here we go, fade out. So when I drag this over, you get this little, see that yellow line?
What? That's it? You just clicked right there and
Yeah.
drug that over, and that's a fade?
And now if I want a quick fade, I just drag it down a little bit. Or if I want to, and the longer I drag this over, the longer the fade is.
I love that.
So it's just that easy. It slices, it dices, it even juliennes.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Right. So
that's gold. Thank you.
So the other thing I had here, and this is the part that you were talking about. One of the great things about the trip was this light up kayak thing you did. And so here's a clip of this. And the thing I got, this is one of the things I was waiting for. For me, now that we're going to get into like, here are the things you could do better. This has a tremendous potential to have theater of the mind. Like really describe what you're seeing. And we finally get to that. This person starts to describe the kayaking trip. And unfortunately, you talked over her and then started her talking about the business again. And I was like, no, that's what I was waiting for. So here's the clip.
You all launch off into the sea near the woods, and there's bioluminescence in the water. So when you dip your paddle in, the whole water lights
butterflies
up.
listening to you.
Oh, it's amazing. So it's like a starlight serenade sometimes as well, where Jim's daughter, Jessie, performs the violin and sings Irish folklore songs.
My goodness. And that's where do you depart?
So you're like, and where do we depart to do that? And I'm like, so
yeah, so that's actually not the tour that I was on.
That's not the tour.
So that's not what I was on. I was learning about that for the first time.
Ah, well, see, that's even because we didn't really get to hear about your tour. And what's interesting is you have this clip.
Okay, so now you've heard from me and my friends about what we thought of a little taste of Atlantic Sea kayaking on that one night where we got to tour and kayak through the port of Cork around sunset. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was we were actually kayaking through standing fishing vessels that were these massive boats. And I was a little nervous, but I did it anyways, and it was really cool.
And so, again, you start to talk about this great thing. And now I'm starting to see it. I'm like, big boats, and oh my gosh. And there you said it was cool. And I actually went back, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's so much more room for theater of the mind here. You said, you've heard my friends talk about this now. Here's what your friends actually said. Amazing, awesome, cool experience, fun and super cool, amazing and beautiful, amazing, I love it, great day, fantastic, great fun. So if somebody said to me, Dave, what's the best concert you've ever been to? I'd be like, Queen, 1980. And they'd go, why? And I go, oh, it's great fun. It was awesome. It was beautiful. But you're not getting like, the one thing for me that I was missing out of most of this was the why. Because they're saying, oh, I'm definitely coming back. And okay, which is good. So Erik, did you kind of have the same, any reaction on that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I put in my notes. All the people, they introduce themselves and they tell me they're going to come back, but I didn't hear the why. I didn't hear what they loved. I didn't hear them draw the picture for me and make me want to come. And famous for their moonlight kayak at sunset near the woods and the luminescence in the water and the starlight serenade where the young girl plays the violin and sings Irish folk songs. Those are the details that I'm looking for. Though that's what's going to make me go, okay, yeah, where do I sign up? Let's go. Like those are the kind of details that I want to hear in the story. And that's kind of what overall in this episode, that's really what I was hoping you would do for me, is take me on that adventure. Because at the beginning you say before you visited Ireland, you had these stereotypes in your head, which was a fantastic setup for the unexpected side of Ireland that we're going to discover, like out in nature. When I think of Ireland, I think of the big cliffs on the oceans. I think of Waterford, and I think of all the beer in Dublin and Guinness. And that's my perception of Ireland. And you're saying, no, when we go there, it's like completely different. It's nature. Like there's all of these nature things you can do, like moonlight kayaking. And I was hoping that you would put me in the moment, like take me on the kayak adventure with you, not necessarily record while you're in the kayak, but let's talk about the things your friends loved the most about it, and when the kayak flipped over and they got soaked, or when the fish about jumped in the boat with you, or something. Like put me right there in the moment and make me just passionate about getting there as fast as I can.
Yeah, because I know for me, they said they put something in the water, and when you put the paddle in, it lit up. And I still don't understand how or why or what. I just was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then it was like, that was it. And I was like, okay, something with, okay. And the other thing that you could do that is huge here, we'll talk about your website in a minute, but if you want website traffic and you say things like, I was kayaking between these big boats, I've got pictures of them on the website. Just go to midlifetraveler.com/43 or whatever the episode was, and you'll see this. You've got a great opportunity to drive people to your website, because if everybody's really into the story, they're like, well, how big were the boats? Or if you have anything you can talk about, that's a great, there's a fun-filled word for it. It's like a lead magnet, but it's not. But it's
call to action.
It's something where
that's a good suggestion.
It's a way to get people to your website without just saying go to the website. Because for somebody who's interested in the story is going to go, well, wait, what are they talking about here? And so you can just say, I've got pictures of this at the website, and then just go on to the next whatever it is. But that was when I went to your website, I'm like, oh, now I get what she's talking about. And I would have either described it a little better. So when you say, I'm paddling next to this thing and I'm feeling like I'm next to a 4-story building, it was blue and it smelled of fish. And when they blew the horn, I about fell out of the kayak, something to get through. But the water was calm, and I could see the moon shimmering on the waves, something to describe and kind of get me there. But that was the one thing when I went to your website, I was like, oh, I would have mentioned this, that I didn't realize you had pictures there.
The thing I love most about your podcast is that you're talking to locals, and you're talking to guys like Mr. Kennedy that are telling you the local stories about what's happening there. You say, now you've heard from me and my friends. Now we're going to hear from Jim Kennedy, who runs the kayak company, and he's going to tell you, and then you list this whole laundry list of what he's going to tell me, which isn't really necessary, because he's going to tell me. I don't need you to tell me what he's going to tell me. So just give me a little context of who he is, and then let him give me the information of where he's going, and just keep the conversation moving forward, because he's a fantastic conversation, and I love the things that you pull out of him. But the first part of us talking to him is a lot of business talk, and it's a lot of nuts and bolts. And finally, about the 14-minute mark of your 17-minute podcast, we get into the fantastic story of the outdoor adventures of Ireland. And he says, yeah, people don't really know about that. And we talk about the upper northwest of the United States and tree huggers. And that was kind of the aha moment of the trip. That's where you realize that it busted all of the stereotypes that you set up. Unfortunately, it comes 14 minutes into a 17-minute podcast. Let's figure out how to get that further up front. And don't feel that your conversation with Jim needs to go in chronological order, because it's all just information that he's given us. And if we take that sort of conversation part about how Ireland is all about getting out into nature, and we put that up front and kind of let that conversation set up the story of us going kayaking, I think it adds a completely different dimension to your podcast and to your story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really great suggestion. You guys have very good suggestions, and I could sit here and explain why I did what I did, but I don't think it matters. I mean, I just really appreciate your candid suggestions about this, and I see the holes that you see as well.
Yeah, and when we do things, that's why I always recommend when podcasters go back to listen to their podcast to critique it themselves, they pick a podcast like 3 or 4 episodes ago, because when you go back in your catalog and you listen back then, it takes all of the reasoning behind everything away, and now you're listening like a real listener would listen. Because you've lost all the, oh yeah, I remember why I did that because I was doing this at the time and the thing, and it removes all of that. And so now you're listening as a listener would listen, and you kind of go, huh, that would kind of make more sense if it was over here instead of over there. So there's ways that you've put it together. I just think what I'd like to see you do, if you'd like one suggestion to make your podcast and your story stronger, is find the one thing you want your listener to take away from this particular episode, and then let's make that your headline. Let's lead with the headline. Let's not bury it 14 minutes in. Let's figure out what that is and put that right up front. Because when I read your synopsis that you sent over to us, your one big thing is, you want to figure out how to get travel products and providers to work with you after you've built this audience, and you need to identify what that might be. And I thought, yeah. And so as I'm listening to your episode, I listened to the episode before I went over and visited the website, and I started thinking, man, you could do all sorts of stuff. You could recommend hotels, you could recommend activities for different interests, you could recommend great restaurants, you could recommend deals in restaurants and places to stay and the best flight and all this. And then I go over to your website and it's all right there. It's like, there it is. And you didn't mention it in the episode. And you have the great foundation of what could all be woven together and make a fantastic resource for travelers. You just need to kind of add a little stitching here and there to kind of put it all together. Because I think you have the parts. I think it just kind of the clay just needs to be squished a little more.
It definitely does.
Yeah. Erik had mentioned how you kind of talk nuts and bolts with, is it Jim? Yeah.
Yes.
And you got into his history, and it was cool that he had Olympic people and things like that, but it really kind of sounded like you're trying to sell, like, this is a really good company. And my thought was, you've already got 3 travel bloggers who are all saying, we're coming back. So, and everybody said it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was awesome. And so you've kind of already sold me on, this is something I want to do here. And I don't think anybody would have said, I'm coming back, if the tour guide was just horrible. So I'm not sure that was needed. And I would have rather heard you talk about the forest that you were driving, which you started to. You were talking about biking through the forest and things like that. And I love when Jim was talking about the accent changes every 20 minutes and things like that. So I just thought, I think there were more stories here that in like Erik was talking about. It would have been a great thing to get your travel bloggers, instead of just saying, I'm so-and-so from the such and such website. A great question. What was your favorite part of this, or things like that? And then a little more, again, the whole thing about the lighting up of the water. We can do that when we stop recording. I'm like, okay, what actually happened? But the other thing that pretty much gets us to the end of the episode, we get to Jim, and I love, the thing I loved about Jim was just his accent.
Yeah, I could listen to him all day long.
Because it was like, wow, he sounds so Irish, but and then you wrap up the show like this.
So there you have it. Thanks for listening. And if you are planning a trip to Ireland and you are interested in meeting these people, joining this night tour, just doing something related to kayaking, please look up Atlantic Sea Kayaking. You can find them on their website, atlanticseakayaking.com. or I think the big way they book their tours are through tripadvisor.com as a nighttime kayaking tour. And of course, we will also have links to their website and their tour on our website at amidlifetraveler.com. Thanks for listening, and safe travels wherever you may roam.
And as I look up, we have 26 seconds. Oh, wait, we do have, at least we have vocals.
At least there's lyrics there.
Yeah.
Oh, there might be extra stuff sticking at the end.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good focused call to action there at the end. You know, if you want to take your trip to Ireland, you know, definitely look up AtlanticSeaKayaking.com. A lot of people book it through TripAdvisor. And of course, there's links on our website to the same thing. So you're kind of sending them all toward Atlantic Sea Kayaking, which was good and focused. I appreciate that. But my thought was, rather than, because you listed TripAdvisor and Atlantic Sea Kayaking first, and, you know, we'll have links in the show notes. When I went over to your website, your Visit Ireland section of your website is phenomenal. There are so many resources there that when I listened to your episode, to me, it sounded like it was, yeah, I tucked some links in the show notes. I did not realize how vast of a resource your website is, because you undersell it here. Like, take pride in what you've created there and direct people over there. If you want links to hotels and kayaking and yacht, all of it, I have it all for you. I've built the whole page for you. Go see it over at midlifetraveler.com, because it's such a vast resource. And I don't think you do enough for yourself to tell people it's over there.
Thank you. I'm not good at bragging about myself. So
I agree. But toot that horn, girl. It's there. You have a lot on that website. Dave, click up there where it says
vacation ideas.
Yeah. And then right the first one there, Ireland. Click that. And then scroll down. Like Ireland vacation ideas. I mean, look at all of this stuff here. There's top Irish cities and towns on your vacation. There's
natural wonders and beauty, outdoor activities to do in Ireland on vacation.
My favorite right here, top Irish castles to visit.
Yeah.
There's all of this stuff here. And then you get down here and there's deals, like all your Ireland deals. I don't know if you have affiliate links through these, but you should.
I was going to say, that was going to be my question. Please tell me these are affiliate links.
That is an affiliate.
Fantastic.
But see, that's part of, like, that piece you're showing right there with Get Your Guide and those. I want people to look at that and go, look at all the different things, and wow, that's not that expensive. I could do that for $30, or I could do that for $50.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought was a little strange was your search button is at the very bottom of your page. And at this point, you don't.
So I'm a person who just tries to figure it out and hacks through it. So I'm a one-man band. I'm at the point where I feel like I need to not do that. Like, I am limiting myself by doing that, whether it's web development, whether it's, you know, branding, podcast storytelling. So I forgot I put the search at the bottom, to be honest, Dave. It's like, sorry. I did.
Well, I definitely think you can generate revenue from your site, from all of what you have on there, if you just get more people over to it and use that podcast to do that. Get me excited about visiting Ireland. Give me a good 15 minutes worth of content about Ireland, and then give me a minute and a half of what I can do there and how I can get there, and send me to your website to go get all of that information and click on your affiliate links, because you do a great job making people want to visit Ireland. Now let's sell them on visiting Ireland and get them over there. With regard to your target audience, in marketing, you know that so many businesses want to target 25 to 54-year-olds. And every time they tell me my target's 25, 54, I tell them 25, 54 isn't a target. That's a family reunion, because there is no 25-year-old that wants to do the same thing that a 54-year-old does. And you know, you in your sheet here, you say your target audience is 35 to 70, which is incredibly broad. If I think of the activities that a 35-year-old wants to do, they're going to be much different than what a 70-year-old wants to do.
True.
So, and I think if you pick that one person, if you're picking a 42-year-old female or a 26-year-old female, they're going to be much different. You know, one of them's going to drink a lot more than the other. Which one's enjoying art more? Which one can afford the $300 bottle of wine? Who's more likely to go hiking or enjoy adventure sports? Which one's going to stay at the 5-star hotel? Which one's just going to go backpacking through Europe? You know, which one are we targeting, and what sort of lifestyle are they leading? How do they want to travel? Do they want to just stay in, you know, a little bed and breakfast throughout the countryside, or are they looking for all the amenities? So you need to kind of define that individual, and
You're right.
and let's speak right to that person.
Yeah. And I think I probably did it wrong on my form that I filled out for you guys, because I didn't really mean to have that be the whole target audience. When I think there's a window of time that people define as midlife, where people
right.
are evaluating what to do. And I actually think that if I was to zone in on a target that I feel I speak to more, it's really the empty nester.
Who's got some discretional income.
Who's got discretional income. They're wondering what's next. They don't have as many responsibilities perhaps they used to and so now they want to go explore. And I know a lot of people that's what they're doing. So that's really more if I zone in on that age group. But I also feel like people give up in their midlife. I mean, feel like things are over and like, oh, what am I going to do? Or, oh, I can't do that. Or, oh, it's so scary. And so I kind of define midlife, that 30 to 70 for people, just to kind of give shock value. The truth is I would think someone between 35 and 70 is a big wide zone that I consider midlife. It doesn't mean you're going to die at your 70 if you're 35, but it means it's that zone where you're active, you're physical, you're capable, you're interested. There's more opportunity for you to go out and grab it. Like, don't wait on contingency. Oh, when I retire, when I hit retirement age. So I'm combining too many things, as you noted. Notch it down, be more precise. It's more precise, excuse me. It's more the empty nester, midlife person because I've been the backpacker and I've been the business traveler, and I've done every type of travel from tuk-tuks to the Shoelace Express to luxury. And to me, it's mid-range. Like, I'm not the person who hangs out in hostels and carries a backpack anymore. But I'm not staying at the Ritz-Carlton either.
So when you structure your content for that midlife person and what they desire and what they want, then that's just the filter that we put it through. And I think you're off to a great start with it. I think you have great content on your website, and I don't think you should hide that fact. You do great work. Get people over there to check it out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You've got your subscribe buttons around the front page, easy to find. So yeah, I when I came to the website, I was like, holy cow, and like I said, you've got great pictures there, and that's an easy way to get people over there. But Erik, as we start to wrap up, what would be your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is lead with the headline. Figure out the exact thing you want your listener to take away from the episode, and let's get that right up front. And if you want your podcast to be different than travel bloggers, you're off to a great start. I love the fact that you're interviewing locals and you're interviewing people that have actually been there and done that. Just help them paint the picture and tell the story to create that excitement about visiting the various locations that you visit, because I think you're off to a great start. You have a lot of great content there. Just refining it in that way a little bit, I think, will make your call to action a lot more powerful and get more people over to your website to enjoy what you have to offer.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of the same thing. Just maybe it's the teacher in me. I'm always wanting to know why. I'm used to people asking me why. So, help paint that picture of and just get people there to where they're like, ooh, I want to see where that's at, which will then, again, once they say, I wish I could be there, I wish I could travel there. Well, you can at least see pictures of it at the website. And now they're one click away from, your affiliate links and anything else you'd like them to do. But the audio was fine. I will, when we wrap things up, I'll show you here. I've somehow lost my camera and the ability to share my screen. Your audio was a little low, the actual volume of it. And when we get done with the show, reboot or something here and make a quick tutorial on how to fix that. But it sounded okay. It was just when I looked at it, I was like, wow, you have a lot of room to make it louder. Because what happens is when you leave that space open, it gets filled up with hiss. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So for whatever reason, Google Hangouts is not our friend tonight, and I've lost the ability to share my screen. So I will definitely make sure you understand what I'm talking about when we do that. So, but
okay, I have an audio question for you as well. Then we get off.
Okay, that'll be great. Because Erik, I think you have to run, right?
I do.
Yeah. So Erik, where can we find you?
You can find me anytime you like over at podcasttalentcoach.com. All my helpful resources and worksheets are right there. And Dave, how about you?
You can find me over at schoolofpodcasting.com. And of course, you can find Laura over at amidlifetraveler.com. We just talked about her awesome website. You can look at sheep. There's awesome pictures of sheep on our website. They're really, really cute. And Laura, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. And what I will do